So we are going to start with an equation of a circle, which you do need to memorize, but it's going to seem very familiar because it actually comes from the distance formula. All right, so an equation of something means that I am giving you an x and y in a formula that you can pick any x, solve for y, and you can plot the points on that graph. So for a linear equation, what the familiar term is y equals mx plus b, that is a linear equation, because if you have it in that format, you can pick any x, solve for the y, and that point will be on that line. That is the equation for that line. So with a circle, once you have the equation for the circle, if you pick an x and solve for y, then you are going to plot a point that falls on that circle, okay? And so the way they get it is actually from the distance formula, which is why I had you do that for bell work. It says the fact that a circle is a locus of points, that means a set of points equidistant from another point in a plane from a given point creates an equation for any circle. So they've given us this circle. They've told us the center is at 3, 2, and the radius is 4, okay? So if I have the center of the circle at 3, 2, which is what they have given me, and my radius is 4, then that means from 3, 2 up to this point right here, the length there should be 4. That's what radius means, from the center to any point on the circle. So we're going to use the distance formula between the xy point and the 3, 2 point, all right? So the distance formula says the square root then of x1, in this case we're just going to use that variable, x, minus the x value of my center, and then I'm going to square that, plus my y2, in this case just the variable y, minus the y that's in the center of my circle, 2, squared, and that should equal the distance, right, which is what we already know to be the radius in this case. So the distance is 4. If I wanted to get rid of my root, what would I need to do to both sides? I would need to square it. So if I square both sides, I would say that 16 is going to equal x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared. All right? Now, this is the formula for this circle. I have one x, I have one y. All of my other numbers are filled in. And if you look below it, they give you the equation for the circle. X minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. And that's a little hard to see, but if you look down there at the bottom, that is the formula that they have given us here. The h represents the x value of my center. The k represents the y value of my center, and the r is the radius. Now, the radius squared, it was 4 squared. You would want to leave it as 16. You wouldn't want to say 4 squared in your formula. But that's where they get it from. They get it from the distance formula. They basically just take the square root out of the distance formula. In the circle equation, you want to leave a variable x, you want to leave a variable y. HK is the center, r is the radius. All right, so let's see how we apply it. Example 1, write an equation for each of the circles. The center is at -2, 4, and the diameter is 4. All right, so for a center of a circle, for a circle equation, I need the center, which is represented by my h and my k. And then I need the radius. So what is the radius for the circle? 2. Now in this case, the radius squared actually equals the diameter. That only happens for 2. That's the only time when 2 doubled is also its square. All right. So I would say x minus h, which is -2 squared, plus y minus k, which is, I'll go ahead and write k, 4 squared equals my radius squared. To finish this out, you do want to simplify it. So instead of minus and negative, what do you think I'm going to write here? I'm going to write plus. All right, so pay attention to this, because since your original equation is already minus, then if you see a circle and it gives it to you with a plus, you know they're talking about the negative of that value. All right, plus y minus 4 squared, and then you do want to square your radius, which is 4. So this particular one would be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 4 squared plus equals 4. All right. What about the next one? Center is at the origin and the radius is 3. They gave me my radius. I need my h and my k, which is my center. What is my h and k for a center at the origin? 0. All right, and so if I do this one, I would say x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 3 squared. To simplify this one, I'm going to just, x minus 0 is just x. Y minus 0 is just y. And of course, that's 9. So this equation would look like this. X squared plus y squared equals 9. X squared plus y squared equals 9. Questions on just writing the equation. Very simple to write the equation. All right, let's look at example 2 on page 576. In this case, they gave me a unit circle, a circle on the coordinate plane, rather. And so what they've told me is they have a circle with a diameter of 14, has a center in the third quadrant. The lines y equals -1 and x equals 4 are tangent to the circle. Write an equation for the circle. All right. So they've told me it is in the third quadrant. All right. So I know that I'm going to have negative x's and negative y's for my center. Then they told me some tangent lines. Tangent is y equals -4 and x equals 4. Why is it important that they told me I was in my third quadrant with those tangent lines? Because honestly, I could have a circle up here that's tangent to those lines, right? I could have a circle over here in this quadrant tangent to those lines, and could have a circle here tangent to those lines. They're infinite. And so they cross and create 4 quadrants, basically. So it's important that they told me I was going below that line, y equals -1. I'm going to go below it to get to my center, and I'm going to go to the left of this one to get to my center. All right? Now, if I know my diameter is 14 then, how does that help me?
Means your radius is 7.
My radius is 7. So how far away from this line am I going to be?
7.
And how far away from this line am I going to be?
7.
7. So basically, they have given me information to be able to find my circle's center, right? So I'm going to go 7 units below the -1. What is my value for y then? 7 units below -1. -8. And then I'm going to go left 7 units from 4. What is my x value then? -3. All right, which is the center of my circle. Does everybody see how we got the center? And now they want the equation for it. I can write the equation rather simply. I'm going to say x, of course, minus my x value of my radius, h, plus y minus my k. And that is my radius squared. Of course, I want to simplify it. X plus 3 squared, y plus 8 squared equals 49. And that would be the equation for this particular circle. The first one, the center is at -3, 5. The radius is at 10. So you should have gotten x plus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 100. 100, all right? Number 4, the center is at the origin and the radius is square root of 7. That's going to be x squared plus y squared equals 7, right? For this last one, they gave you the diameter's endpoints. So the first thing you needed to do was use midpoint to find the center, which you should have gotten -2, 11 for the center, -2, 11 for the center. And then you would have had to use distance formula from either of those points. It doesn't matter because they should be the same distance away from the center to get square root of 32 as the radius. And then when you square root of 32, you get just 32. So your answer here would have been x plus 2 quantity squared plus y minus 11 quantity squared equals 32. Anybody need to see that last one?
Yes.
All right, so this one, for the endpoints of the diameter, they have given you across the circle, and they want the midpoint of that. So they've given you -6, 15, and 2, 7. And so to find the center of that, we're going to use the midpoint formula. So we're going to say -6 plus 2 over 2, 15 plus 7 over 2. So the midpoint's going to be negative 4 over 2, or negative 4. 22 over 2, which is 11. So this is my H and K right here. That is my center, all right? And then I need to use this with either point. It doesn't matter which one. And I want to use my distance formula. So whichever point you choose from this point in should be the same distance to those 2 points, all right? And so I would say, it doesn't matter which one you did, but so negative 6 minus negative 2, so that's your x's, plus 15 minus 11, and square those. So negative 6 minus a negative 2, that is going to be negative 6 plus 2 or 4, so 16 here. And then 15 minus 11 is also 4, so square that is 16. And we get the square root of 32. That is my radius. That's the distance from one of the points into the center, okay? And so to put that in my formula then, I would, let me scoot all this up a little bit. I would say my formula is x minus my h, which is negative 2 squared, plus y minus my k squared equals my radius squared. And so when I simplify that, then I will get x plus 2 squared, y minus 11 squared equals, when I square a square root, the root just goes away, so it's equals 32. Now, when you're sketching the graph of a circle, it's expected that you might have some issues with actually finding the exact points. You can use a compass if you want to make it, even a little more neat. But what I'm looking for is that you know how to plot the points of the center, and that you know how to find at least your direct out from the center points. Well, how pretty it is really not the importance here. So if I'm looking at this, they have given me the equation, x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. So from this equation, I know my center is going to be negative 2, positive 3, because remember, it's the opposite, because the original equation is subtraction. And my radius is going to be 4. And so if I were to graph this one, then I'll move that up a little bit so we can make it larger. I would put my center at negative 2, positive 3. So my center is going to go right here. And I'm 4 away from it in every single direction. Now, diagonally is a little hard to draw, but if I'm 4 away from it in every single direction, I can at least draw, let's see, did I put that there? There we go. I can at least draw these here. So I know that my circle is going to be something like that. Now, drawing the circle, that's a little bit more difficult. See if it will let me do it neatly. There we go. It might let me do it neatly. I have to move it. There. So your circle should look something like that. For this one, graph the circle, and they have x squared plus y squared equals 9. So for this one, my h and k, that's going to be 0, 0, because I know it's not adding anything to the y or the x, and my radius is going to be 3. So if I did this one, I would have the center at 0, 0, my radius at 3. That's a little bit easier even to mark your points, right? And then, of course, drawing the circle itself. Looks like that. Center for this one should have been negative 5, positive 2 with a radius of 3. So it should have looked something like that. Negative 5, 2 is the center. And then up 3, over 3, down 3, left 3 from that. And your center should have been at 3, 0, and then a radius of 4. 3, 0, and then a radius of 4. All right. And you do want to probably, you don't have to label your other points, but you do probably want to show them so that I know you went 4 away from there if your circle is really wonky.